So, NBA season has concluded. It is over and done with. And we're really just playing now. I was like, pretty much all the stuff for the playoffs have pretty much been it's settled and done with. They already got the matchups or whatever. And I was like, so we're going to talk about the play-ins matchup. And then after that, I was like, how that go? Then I'll do different video. But let's just go ahead and let's talk about the interesting matchups. And by that, I mean really only like 3 out of the 4 games. Uh, let's just get out the water of, I mean, I guess let's get out of the poo poo water that is the Hawks and the Bulls. I swear to God, it always, you know what, except for, I mean, outside the 76ers, it's always the same teams in the East for the play-in. It's always the Miami Heat, it's always the Bulls, and it's always the Atlanta Hawks. And is there really any good? I was like, no, outside the Heat. I'm talking about with the Hawks and the Bulls. Is there any really good option here? Is there? Like, let's be honest. Whoever wins this game, we're pretty much having them lose against Miami. Cause I was like, and that doesn't tell you how I feel about the pretty much the other matchup. And I was like, I can't really tell you about really Miami or 76ers. I think the 76ers will pull out that game, and I think the Heat will beat whatever the other team is. Just because I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was like, it seemed like the Hawks played better without. I have played better without Trae Young, but and I was like, and the Bulls have been able to be mildly decent, here, but. And look, it's a one game off in elimination, so there's no telling it could just pop off where just like Miami don't make it. But I was like, either way, it's gonna be Sixers and it's gonna be Heat. I don't even feel like I gotta even talk about anything here really with the East. And I guess it'd be more intriguing of seeing which ones of like who would match up. Like say if the Heat win, then they get Boston. I was like, then they get the Knicks or or they get Boston. Either way, it's good matchups. 76ers, same thing. I was like, Joel versus the Knicks and being on that stage, awesome. I was like, get the Celtics and seeing if he could take them down, awesome. There's no lose in that situation at all with them. I was like, we all win. So let's go to the West, where it's a lot more intriguing combinations overall and everything. Yet alone of who actually will match up against, like the Thunder winning #1 and stuff like that, and those matchups. But just in general, of the fact that okay, so I'm really glad of how it sort of got to the point of like the Pels versus the Lakers and the Warriors versus Sacramento, because I was like, okay, I do want to start pushing in some of these younger players and other teams. But I also kind of want the old heads in there just to make it a little bit like intriguing of like the whole story of can they just do it another time? That whole thing. But so if it was LeBron and Curry, which it still had a chance to be, um, I was like, there was a guarantee that one of the old heads make it in. So from that standpoint, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And you get one of the young ones in. But I think this is a lot more exciting, this route, because you got the young versus the old in each situation. And also, not only is this like, like for instance, Sacramento, Golden State, that matchup coming back to head again. But also, the team they're playing are really kind of images of like each other in a little bit of way. Like for instance, like Sacramento is basically what Golden State was and how they all started out to be in a sort of way where it's like really up and down, fast paced. I mean, which makes sense. They got Mike Brown as a coach who was on Golden State. Where you got like the dynamic guard, and I was like, yes, they don't have the star power like how Golden State does, but you got a dynamic guard, and you got you also have like the wings that basically Golden State had for a long time. And your center is basically a good passer and a good rebounder. but he doesn't have defense. Yes, he doesn't have defense like Draymond, but I was like he can score unlike Draymond. So it's like, but it's still sort of similarities in the way they play and even some of the personnel. Um, the damn, I was like the Pelicans. There we go. And the Lakers, I was like, so you got this dominant kind of force of a guy, LeBron, and then you got on the other hand Zion. Where basically, you got like the strong ass bull over here, and the old guy that used to be basically. I mean, he still lives, but he ain't like how he was like with Miami in that same type of fashion. Um, where it's like they both got like a good set of big men with Valanciunas. I was like Davis and Nance and like Hayes, like so they could play big, they could play small. They also got like a good amount of like guards and wings as well too, in a way where it's like they can match up with the Lakers, where it's like, okay, you want to throw those out, we could throw these out as well, where it's like Herb Jones or um and they got not McConnell, Jesus Christ, McCollum out there, to match up basically with Reeves and stuff like that. But I feel like the X factor to me where I would be scared with the Lakers is the fact that it's like, you got Zion, you got Ingram, kind of like, and this ain't gonna be nothing close of how it was like in the NCAA tournament. But you also, and McCollum is sort of the X factor, but they got other good players too that you don't know who's gonna get hot that night. But I was like, you feel a little bit better about them than sometimes with the Lakers, where it's like sometimes the Lakers just in a groove, sometimes they're not. Now I was like they've gone a little bit of a losing streak here, but they were winning quite a few. They were winning like a hell of a lot of games beforehand. So I just think they're just really similar. Of you got your two main people, Ingram, Zion, Davis, LeBron, McCollum is sort of like tricky sometimes. Cause like sometimes he plays phenomenal, and sometimes he plays good. Then you got like Reeves and Russell combination. Reeves is really consistent. I'm like Russell. He's been good, and sometimes he could hit highs, and sometimes he just chilling. And then you just got a whole bunch of other players that you just like. I hope they hit their numbers today. But I think if I had to choose, I really would want the Pelicans and I want the Lakers. That's who I would want. That's who I want to go in. I was like, that's who I'm picking for this, of who I would want to see in these playoff matchups. The thing with Golden State is like I don't like. Yeah, if they got matched up against Oklahoma City, I think that will be a good game that plays into what they do, to where I don't think they'll win, but they will have a chance. But like against the Nuggets, I was like, it'll be a cool, like Stephen Curry versus Jokic. I like that, but I don't think it'll be like an actual, like I think that's gonna get swept, but I don't even know if it'd be close. Like at least with the Lakers, if they match up against the Nuggets, they might get swept. But I was like, it's gonna be competitive games that I feel like at least, even like I was like, if the Pelicans versus the Nuggets, I'm like, there's some competitive games. And if they get matched up against Oklahoma City, I was like, oh, I think they could get Oklahoma City. I just think they do. And I know that's always the thing with like the inexperience and all that other stuff, but it's really just because I was like, I just don't think they have enough big people to play with either of those teams. That's really actually what I think it is. I think if they would have had a big man, I would have gave them more of a legit shot than people are giving them. Like kind of like, yes, they're young, but I was like, some of these players, Dort, Shea, and stuff, where it's like they've played already in the playoffs. I was like, was Gideon on that squad a couple years ago? I was like, he might have been, but he might have been hit, but I don't know if he was playing. Yeah, I think he was, but I don't think he was playing or something like that. Or like he was hella young, or maybe he wasn't on there. I was like, that was about 4 years ago. I was like, yeah. So I don't think he was on that squad yet. But but yeah, no. So I was like, but I would have more belief in him because I'm like, that's why I said against Golden State, I was like, okay, that's a little bit more favorable matchup. They don't really have any bigs like that. But I was like, with Anthony Davis, Hayes, and I was like, with Zion and Valanciunas, I was like, I was like, yo, I was like, I don't see as easy of an outcome as a route than like than match up with tonight. But yeah, that's really my old head young. I was like youngster pick. Pelicans, Lakers. I was like, and we'll see how that goes. I was like, the Kings are cool, but I was like, I think we got enough mix in here. I was like, I don't really need to see necessarily the Kings, and they're not. I was like, and especially if they're not really being at full health. And I was like, Golden State. I really just want to see the iteration and how it is next year. I was like, I much want to see Curry and stuff like that. I feel like it's just too much miss than the rest of the team that's more hit with it. That's all. So I was like, that's my picks for the West. The East, like I said, I feel like we all got the same picks. If either one of those two teams don't make it, I think we'd be hella surprised. That's it. But yeah, looking forward to these playing games now that the playoffs have started. I was like, I was like, see like some real in depth basketball. Cause I won't fake out here or whatever. Like I've been watching all the games. I'm like, this is really my first season. I haven't really been able to watch the games like I used to or whatever. I'll catch them here and there or whatever. I'll catch like highlights or whatever and stuff like that. But I haven't been able to watch the game like I used to. So I'm really excited to get into these playoffs and be able to actually watch like a bunch of these games. But anyway, who y'all want to pick? Let me know. Until then, we'll see how them play-ins play out.